The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome into the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene is alongside. We are live on a Friday morning as we get ready for the football weekend. Talking week 3 NFL pops and flops in fantasy football. We'll go down each and every game and give you who should be successful this week, who's not going to be successful this week. And, of course, we're going to start off with welcoming you into the program. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you see all of our content as it comes out here in the Sportsocracy. We've got team-by-team content rolling out over the last couple of days here with all of the 2-week overviews of how each and every team has done so far and their week 3 matchups this week. The Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans last night faced off on Thursday Night Football. It was, it was a win for the Carolina Panthers, but was it really a win for the Carolina Panthers?
It cost everything.
It cost us everything. Christian McCaffrey going out of the ball game with some sort of hamstring issue. Have not heard anything about it. I'm sure that'll be all tested today, and we'll find out.
Grade 1 hammy strain.
It's a grade 1.
Looks like.
Yikes!
It's about 2 weeks.
Yikes!
And they immediately missed Mike Davis, which I said a long time ago, because Chuba Hubbard is poopy.
Yeah, well, he at least hit the over on his player prop last night.
He was expected to be
yards.
the backup, and he probably hit it by the width of this table, because he's not good at football.
Yeah, it was.
And I swear to you, if I saw him pass protect, first of all, the man can't catch to save his life.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I saw on film. He should have had a touchdown because it hit him in between the numbers. But he can't run a route at all. Then he did it again.
Yeah, it was obviously not the greatest of outcomes for the Panthers. I mean, they did get the win. The defense looked pretty good for the most part.
It's against the Texans.
Yeah,
so you have to take that with a grain of salt.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm being wishy-washy about it. Like, okay. 24-9 was the final score. Sam Darnold, 2 touchdowns rushing the ball. So I guess this is the window now of what this offense is going to look like without Christian McCaffrey, is that when you get in short yardage situations, Sam Darnold's going to be your guy?
No, but he can do that. Mm-hmm. He was always more athletic than people thought. Man, now you've just seen it. I mean, the thing about Carolina is your defense is very good. Mm-hmm. Your offense is interesting without Christian McCaffrey. He's not a running back.
Right.
And now you go in to face the Dallas Cowboys, who they have 2. And they're just so multiple. Mm-hmm. I saw some things from Sam last night that I was like, yeah, that's what I always wanted to see. And then I saw other things that I went, yeah, that's what I've always seen.
300-yard passing game, though, 2 touchdowns on the ground. So, at least if you streamed Sam Darnold this week, he turned out,
they went fine.
It was a good 25 points for you. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't all that bad. 24-9. It was as we expected. Had Christian McCaffrey been healthy for the entire game and played all the entire game, it probably would have been way, way worse.
My biggest takeaway from last night was I'm pretty sure Davis Mills, his father, was a giraffe.
Why?
Because he has the longest neck I've ever seen in my life.
I didn't even see him on the.
I bet his neck is that long. I mean, his head. David Culley went to grab him by the face mask, and his hand slid down. It looked like he was choking him for a minute.
Oh, Davis Mills' neck.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Davis Mills has the longest neck in the history of time.
Worse than Peyton?
Yes. His head's not as big, which makes it look markedly worse. Somehow, in all the tape I watched on him, I never noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Did you see anything that you take away positives from Davis Mills?
He's got an NFL arm. I never doubted that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a $1 million arm with a 10-cent brain, and he stays hurt. I mean, that offense was god awful for a solid 2 quarters. Then the second half wasn't much better. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had Carolina -9. I was never in doubt that was going to cover.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of interesting, like, as Christian McCaffrey goes out of the game, it seemed like the pressure turned up on the defensive side. I guess at this point they just changed their thinking of, hell, now we can just go after Sam. Because it seemed like the blocking kind of took about 5 steps back.
It wasn't the blocking. The blocking didn't change. It was the defensive scheme. If you have no, all right, so just think about this. The connection between Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson, that's not been a thing.
Right.
Just straight up. They don't look on the same page. They don't look like they've ever met one another. So that's the deep threat. All right, so now you're not really worried about that.
Right.
DJ Moore was killing you in between the safety because you're playing too high safety. And I hate that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck never said this. That's what shitty teams do. Shitty teams drop 2 safeties on every play because they're terrified of getting burned deep. So, yeah, there's going to be a spot between the linebackers and the safeties that you can just pick them apart. And Sam did that quite nicely. DJ Moore, he also did it quite nicely. Joe Brady schemed it quite nicely. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Houston Texans are fucking awful.
Yeah.
You asked me, did I see anything from Davis Mills? I mean, he's got a realistic NFL arm, I guess.
Okay. Brandon Cooks continues to be the only thing worth having fantasy-wise.
Yeah, and if he keeps getting target share like that, he will be on a fucking neck board before this is all said and done. I saw him get hit 3 separate times. He got kneed in the back. It was just an underthrown ball that he had to dive on the field. And I don't know who that safety was. I didn't catch a number.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, good on you. That's an old school football play of, oh, yeah, I get to hit you, and I'm going to knee you dead in the small of the back. And he did. Mm-hmm. I started to feel bad for Brandon Cooks.
Right.
Like, good hell, you're open all the time. And this dude's a day late and $1 short on every one of these throws.
Matthew Hoffman in a comment said that he almost played Darnold last night instead of Patrick Mahomes.
Don't
ever do that.
Yeah,
don't ever.
You know what the beauty of drafting Pat Mahomes is? You don't ever have to think about quarterback again.
Right.
Unless there's a red letter next to his name and it's an O, you should never think about that position again.
Right. Yeah, don't play matchup. There's some guys in the NFL you don't play matchups with. Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, is one of those. Right?
Yeah, I don't care if he plays the 85 Bears. It's Pat Mahomes.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes will be number 1, 2, or 3 in quarterback rankings every week, probably until the end of time.
Yep. Also, bad news for the Carolina Panthers. J.C. Horn, Joe Horn's son, broke his foot last night.
That injury is proof positive of why you really should not be on Twitter during NFL games. Achilles started trending during this, and I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on television, radio, or in my fun dress-up bedroom time.
Yeah.
But if you couldn't tell what that was, you should probably keep your medical diagnosis to your fucking self.
So you saw it right away as a break.
It was foot. It was either a foot or an ankle. I knew for damn sure it wasn't an Achilles.
Yeah.
And I just kept hitting verified accounts like, what the fuck are you looking at? You do realize he put pressure on that, right? You don't do that on an Achilles. Oh, but they carried him off. That's fine. He took 3 steps on it before that. You remember when Kevin Durant tore his and it ran up the back of his fucking leg?
Yeah.
It irritates me to no end that you get these medical professionals on Twitter that are, oh, that's an Achilles. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's a foot. That sucks for Carolina. That greatly limits that defense. Mm-hmm. Because now you don't have that physical press man corner that can do the things J.C. Horn can. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to send the hellhounds at quarterbacks the way you did. I think I heard it was going to be 2 to 3 months, which would put him back at worst for the last stretch for the playoff run. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily change an outlook for me. It just changes how the defense is run.
Who do they have to come in behind him, though?
Hold on. We have a new one in the comments. Forrest Law.
Hi, Forrest.
Like an AA meeting for sports. So, welcome. Who do they have what now?
Yeah, who do they have coming in for JC now?
The one that played yesterday. Oh, God, it was a name that I've heard 80 billion times. Oh, what the fuck? Rashawn Melvin, who I think has played on 14 teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he's played on every team in the AFC. And he's not good. Mm-hmm. So the front seven for Carolina is fucking incredible. Mm-hmm. Brian Burns is a dude. I have to talk about that. Somehow we've gotten 8 minutes, however deep we are into this, and we haven't talked about that god-awful fucking officiating crew. All right, I gotta do this. Because this is something that started to really irritate me, and it only got nominally worse.
Okay.
The offsides thing. All right, so if you're going to call that, it would really help if they were offsides. They never were. Not one fucking time. They showed that shot down the line time and time again. You're not offsides. Oh, his head's in the neutral zone. That doesn't matter. Those fucking officials last night. And I'm not even a Panthers fan. I couldn't have cared less. I knew I was going to cover because Houston sucks.
Yep.
So it wasn't that. It was just, sweet God. Michael Whiteside, we're in a group chat with a bunch of you that watch the show. And Michael Whiteside at one point said, I think this game is going to end somewhere about the time you have to start tomorrow.
There were a lot of flags, a lot of drawn-out play last night, and at least Carolina gets the win. And now they get to face Dallas next week. It's going to be really rough without Christian McCaffrey. I agree with you, Kevin Vick. He said in the comments, still say don't sleep on the Carolina Panthers. I agree with you. You can't sleep on a defense like that. What, they had 4 sacks last night? Mm-hmm. So they're averaging 5 sacks a game. And I don't care the level of competition that they've been playing. Against the shittiest teams in the league, that would be excellent. You got New Orleans thrown in the middle of that. You can't really make that argument that they're just doing it against bad offensive lines.
Well, you don't know what New Orleans is. New Orleans is one of the 2 teams in the NFL that if you told me they were 22 or 12, mm-hmm. I would go, yep, I know how you got there.
Mm-hmm. But they're offensive line.
The big test for Carolina next week's Dallas.
Yeah.
You get to deal with Micah Parsons and Jalen Smith and all these other dudes.
Yep.
Am I saying it's great defense? No. Will I take the over without knowing what the number is? Yes, the fuck I will.
Speaking of the number, covered the 8.5 last night. Also,
thank you, Michael Whiteside, for giving me the idea for how to pick our game yesterday. Sex Panther.
Yeah.
60% of the time works every time.
Also hit the under.
Yes.
So you went 2-0 last night.
The under last night was the easiest. That's the easiest bet I think I've ever won in my life. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how much it was. I took free play from betus.com that I got for putting all of my doubloons into Betus and away from all the other sites. I put 30% of it on the under last night. And I never doubted it for one fucking second.
You can go to betus.com, use our promo code Sportsocracy, and when you make your deposit, they will give you a deposit bonus of 125% just for using the promo code Sportsocracy at betus.com.
Just throwing this out there, I checked the numbers because I was curious. The last time I hit a double play on Thursday Night Football, I went 11-1 on my green on green picks.
Nice.
It's the best week I've had since we started doing the ESPN radio show. And I have 18 picks this week.
18?
18 of them.
Wow. So we're going to have to do 3 different segments?
No. I'm just going to give, a 3 sets of them. 3 in a set extra that I'm not going to talk about.
So there'll be like segment. A little addendum at the end.
I may have a stroke before this is over. If you've never listened to our ESPN radio show, at the end of each hour, I go, Nanners. There's really not a nicer way to say that. Because I love betting on damn near anything. And college football, it's my favesies. And this week, I'm pissed off that I've been a dead level slip one to your sister for 2 straight weeks. We're not doing that shit again.
Be sure to tune in this afternoon on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400 locally. And, of course, you can get us everywhere live or on demand on the iHeartRadio app in the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene. All right, pops and flops for week 3 of the NFL season. We're going to go down each and every game and tell you who we think could be the big fantasy star. Sleeper, star, doesn't matter. Who's going to make hay this week in the NFL?
Well, before we say this, I need you to understand we'll be putting out DraftKings content for tomorrow. And I don't know how aggressively I'm going to say this, but I need to. There are about 6 games this week that if you have a player, I don't give a fuck who it is, you did it wrong. If you have a player from Washington, Buffalo, New Orleans, New England, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I kind of want to say Miami and Vegas. Matter of fact, I am going to say Miami and Vegas. Okay. That's 4. If you have a player from any of those games, you did this shit wrong.
Really?
Yes. You did it
nobody.
Wrong. You did. There's too many shootout games. There's too many games that I know definitively are going to shoot out.
I got you. So on your, and you're talking about DFS.
Yes.
On your DFS rosters, if you don't have somebody from the shootout games, you're doing it wrong.
Well, and here's the thing. You should be building your season-long rosters the same way you build DFS. The goal is to score a lot of points. Yeah. So there shouldn't be – it's always kind of been comical to me as somebody that does both that there's this huge disconnect of, well, you should never stack a quarterback because what happens to the receiver if the quarterback gets hurt? Oh wait. That logic doesn't – like I can't make those 2 tips touch. I've never been able to do that. I love stacking a quarterback in season long, and I'll be honest with you. I do my rankings for DFS, and then I use it for my season long leagues. Okay. That's one of Mullet's little tips of why he likes to beat the hell out of people in fantasy football.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about them. Pops or flops for week 3. The Washington football team is at the Buffalo Bills.
Yep, here's one of those games that you shouldn't want not nary a little bit of it.
Not nary a little bit? Okay. I mean, Josh Allen should be able to throw on this team. Do you agree?
I don't know that I do.
Okay.
I mean, if you have him in season long, you're playing him.
Of course.
But the name of this show is Pops and Flops, so we're looking for players that are going to be better than they usually are or worse than they usually are. I don't know that I have one in this game on either team. I don't love Terry McLaurin this week. I mean, is there a player on either of these teams that you really like? I can give you a bunch of them I don't like.
No, there's not. There's a player that I hope is better than he has been.
You're going to say Antonio Gibson.
And it's Antonio Gibson.
There it is.
Because
let me tell you a dirty little secret. He's going to be super high owned in DraftKings.
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me figure out why.
I haven't. Here's the thing. His limited usage is maddening to me. I cannot figure out why there were certain times in the game last week where Ron Rivera and Scott Brooks, no, not Scott Brooks. Scott Turner, thank you. Old Scott Brooks. He's an NBA coach.
Scott Brooks is was the former coach of the Washington Wizards.
Right.
And the Oklahoma City Thunder.
But why Ron Rivera and Scott Turner chose to go with J.D. McKissick, like for an entire drive at crunch time in the game. I don't even kind of understand that a little bit.
Because he's the passing down back. That's what he does. Now, I'm just curious how close you could get on this.
Okay.
How many? You said limited usage for Antonio Gibson.
Yes.
How many running backs in the NFL have more touches through 2 weeks than Antonio Gibson does? It's not 1.
You're right.
It's also not 20.
15.
It's 8. It's 8. And one of them is Mark fucking Ingram. So...
Well, that's just dumb.
And another one's Elijah Mitchell, who probably 70% of fantasy football fans didn't know who the fuck he was coming into the season.
Right.
There's not a limited usage in Antonio Gibson. The Christian McCaffrey thing that Ron Rivera kept saying, oh, we're going to use him that way. No, you're not. No, you're not, because he's not that guy. He's never been that guy, and he's never going to be that guy. J.D. McKissick's a better pass blocker, period. He's a better receiver. Mm-hmm. So if it becomes a thing where you're not running real well, you're going to see more J.D. McKissick. It's just the way it is. But Antonio Gibson's gotten exactly the amount of tote that you would think he is. 16.5 touches a game.
No.
Guess what he averages for his career?
16.5.
16.5 touches a game.
I don't know. I guess it's just the fact that he hasn't done much with it. And like I said, when it came down to crunch time, J.D. McKissick was the guy.
Armchair, you're my favorite candidate. He said, Jeremy, can you do an episode where you teach Tank about football? God damn, I love you so fucking much. If you weren't a whole country away, I'd just give you a big old hug, because that made me laugh. And I've been rather irritable this morning.
No, there's not really a player in this game that you can look at and go, this dude's in a hammer spot. It's all a bunch of ifs. Josh Allen, he should be able to throw on this team. But there again, I don't know that he will. I mean, they're not going to be able to run. So there's that. Your little Devin Singletary 1 week pop. It was exactly what it was. They're not going to be able to run the ball.
No. I don't like any of the running backs you're going to have for Tre'Davious White on Terry McLaurin. Mm-hmm. I don't really like any other receiver for them. To me, this game is just a big poop sandwich. I can tell you definitively I'm going to be on the under.
Right.
I don't like anything in this game.
Yeah. How about Chicago at Cleveland? The Cleveland defense?
No.
No?
No. Here's what's made me kind of laugh about the rebukes on Justin Fields.
Yeah.
You do realize there were 2 drops that would completely have changed that, right? Allen Robinson dropped an easy touchdown. And I can't remember who the other one was. There was another drop that was just atrocious. Mm-hmm. I don't hate Justin Fields in DFS because his running floor is so high. In terms of am I going to use him in season long, depends on what your scoring system is. If you're getting I've got him in a half point per carry league. Yeah, guess what? He's playing quarterback for me this week over Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's a very weak quarterback core you have there.
Well, I have Jameis Winston and I have Trey Lance too. So we're playing for the end of the year,
right?
And already 2-0.
We got a lot of hopes. Yeah.
My running backs are Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon. So
you're doing fine.
It's gone just fine for me. Oh, and I have Stephon Diggs too. Oh, and Rondale Moore. Oh, and Cordell Patterson. Should I keep going? I showed this team on the air, and people went, "What is it? You are a moron." I'm also 2-0. So,
So you think Justin Fields could be useful in this game?
I think he can be fantasy useful. He will be much more fantasy useful than he is real life useful. I'm not that intimidated by the Cleveland defense. I just watched Tyrod Taylor cut them into pieces at home. By the way, just throwing this out there, where did Justin Fields play college football?
Ohio State.
Right down the street. Mm-hmm. There's going to be at least a limited portion of the crowd that comes to this game to cheer on Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. I understand it's Cleveland. I understand they're whatever. I'm not as worried about this as a lot of people are. For this week, I have in my quarterback rankings, I have Justin Fields at 13. He's right on the backside of starter QB1 in fantasy football. I also have him ahead of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. I worry about the pressure that they can put on Justin Fields and whether or not he can make sound decisions. Cleveland is one of the best teams in the league at getting pressure on the quarterback. They're like 5th in pass rush win rate as a team, 56%. Takk McKinley, Jadeveon Clowney, both have been getting steady pressure on quarterbacks so far this season. I just don't like it, the situation. First start for a rookie quarterback going up against this Cleveland defense. I can't get down with that. On the other hand, for Cleveland, I love all of the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt for a flex play, and Anthony Schwartz.
I don't mind Anthony Schwartz this week. I'm Seacrest out on Odell Beckham Jr. because he's going to catch Jalen Johnson, and that's the one corner on that team that's actually good.
Yep. They're without Jarvis Landry, so somebody's got to step up and fill that role. Odell will play, it looks like.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Curious.
You know what absolutely eviscerates the Chicago Bears?
What's that?
Slot guys. Who plays in the slot? Rashard Higgins. I like him muy grande this week.
All right. On the Chicago side, other than Justin Fields, I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to run the ball on this. They will stack the box just to stop Montgomery.
I don't know that I hate Allen Robinson this week. He's not going to draw Denzel Ward, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people know this about Cleveland, but Cleveland will not put Denzel Ward in the slot, and Allen Robinson plays there a lot.
Yeah.
So, if I was going to play somebody for Chicago, it'd be Allen Robinson.
Okay.
I think he could be better. I think he could be better than people think. Mm-hmm. But I'm not running out to do it. I don't think this is going to be a super high-scoring game.
Yeah.
And if it is, Cleveland's going to wax them.
All right, Baltimore takes on the Detroit Lions. Aaron Jones obviously having that big night on Monday night against the Detroit Lions. Baltimore doesn't have one of those. I think Lamar Jackson is probably due for a huge game again on the ground.
We have a new person in the comments, Chris D. We're like an AA meeting for sports.
Welcome, Chris.
Hi. He said, I have Myles Gaskin, Tyson Williams, Antonio Gibson, Michael Carter, Melvin Gordon, Elijah Mitchell as my running backs. Is this enough for the rest of the season? I'm going to say yes. You could also parlay one of those guys because there's two of those that I don't think are going to be great long term that are pretty good right now. Because I think Michael Carter will be good in the long term. I think Melvin Gordon will be good until about a month from now. Because that Broncos schedule gets ridiculous. So if somebody in your league was the one I would be targeting would be the Javonte Williams owner. Whoever had Javonte Williams, I would be looking to parlay Melvin Gordon into a longer-term play. Just an example, somebody like, who's in that tier? Mike Davis. Or Mike Davis still getting the tote. I know a lot of people, including me, really, really like Cordero Patterson. Doesn't change how much I like Mike Davis. That schedule is going to lighten up. There's a lot of Jets and shit on that Falcons schedule, so they'll have nicer days. That's what I would look to do. Tyson Williams is another one that I might try to strike while the iron's hot on him.
Yeah.
Because I think Latavius Murray and Devontae Freeman are going to pilfer some of that workload, and he'll always be the change of pace back. He'll be fantasy playable, don't get me wrong. You will be fine playing him. You might be able to do a little better if you traded him.
Rob Johnson asked, should I play T.J. Hawkinson in my flex instead of David Montgomery?
My question would be, who is your tight end that you're not starting T.J. Hawkinson? T.J. Hawkinson, in terms of tight end, where do you have him in terms of tight ends this week?
I'd say probably 4. 2? Okay.
I have him ahead of Travis Kelce this week.
Seems like an error in judgment to me, but.
Or not. No.
You are the tight end whisperer.
I said that backwards. I have him right behind Travis Kelce, right ahead of Darren Waller.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm like Ron Burgundy. I read what's on the screen, and I had it backwards.
Okay.
Baltimore is horror-awful against tight ends. I would find a way to get T.J. Hawkinson in my lineup. I can't say that I would start him over David Montgomery because I like David Montgomery this week. I feel like there's somebody. Oh, he has Kelce. That's fine. I would need to know who your other two running backs are. Because there's probably one there's probably one that I will like Montgomery better. Di Glosser, we're like an AA meeting for sports, so.
Hi.
Should I start Calvin Ridley or Chris Godwin at wide receiver 2? Here's a fun question that I knew somebody was going to ask. It was about one of the two of them. Calvin Ridley is probably the one I like better. Who do the Atlanta Falcons play this week?
The New York Giants.
What does James Bradbury do better than damn near anybody in the NFL?
What?
Shut down physical receivers. What does he not do worth a whole fuck? Stop really good route runners. I am drunk on Calvin Ridley this week. Chris Godwin, a lot of people think he's going to draw Jalen Ramsey, and I don't buy that. Jalen Ramsey has pretty well shielded Mike Evans, and very rarely. He has pretty well shadowed Mike Evans every time he's played him. So, I mean, in terms of snap count, I would say I'm not scared of any other corner that plays for the LA Rams outside of Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
I would say, looking at the shadow report, I would say it's probably highly likely that 80% of the snaps that Mike Evans plays, Jalen Ramsey's on him. So I would have Calvin Ridley ahead to answer the question that you actually asked. I would have Calvin Ridley ahead of Chris Godwin, but not tremendous. I'm not dinging Chris Godwin because I don't think he's going to see much of Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
I have Calvin Ridley at 3 this week. So there's that.
Yeah.
By the way, fun stat I heard on, just since we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons, I know we haven't gotten to this game yet. Let me find exactly how it was. Average yards per play without Kyle Pitts on the field for the Atlanta Falcons. Take a stab at what it is.
Average yards per play? 4.5.
2.6.
Okay.
Average yards with Kyle Pitts on the field.
7.2.
5.3. It's double.
Okay.
The Kyle Pitts day is coming, and I'm not sure it's not this week. I could see a path where on DraftKings I have a lineup of Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley. Because Ridley's price came down because of Bradbury. Ryan's price came down for bad. And Kyle Pitts' number has come down because he hasn't been overly productive.
Yeah.
I can see a path that they both are. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in order of games there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Caught the question and had to answer it.
Yep. Baltimore and Detroit. That's the game we were talking about. TJ Hawkinson, I think, is probably the only guy that I look at in this game and go, he looks like he is going to be in a pop spot.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, yeah. TJ Hawkinson's a dude this week.
Yeah.
22.6% target share in that Detroit Lions offense. That's ridiculous.
I just don't know what else to trust for Baltimore other than Lamar against Detroit.
Why?
Again, I don't know what the share is going to look like with the running backs. They don't really throw the ball a lot to their running backs, which is something that Detroit obviously struggles with. And the wide receivers, it could, I don't know how much they're going to have to throw the ball. They get so far ahead and then they just pound them on the ground.
I'm not worried about it. If they get that far ahead, they got there somehow. I love Lamar this week. If I had to pick a receiver, I'd say it's probably Sammy Watkins, but I don't love either one.
Yeah. That was kind of my point. It's hard to pinpoint who's going to be the one. It's definitely Lamar and definitely TJ Hawkinson are the two guys that I would target in this game. I don't know about Mark Andrews. How do you think Mark Andrews?
I don't mind Andrews this week. I'm not running to do it.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to shoehorn him in DFS lineups or anything like that.
Right.
He's fine. He's fine. He's fine.
He's fine. Arizona and Jacksonville. Every single Cardinal that you have, you should feel comfortable playing them. My opinion.
Every Cardinal?
Yeah. Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds, Rondale Moore, obviously DeAndre Hopkins. If you have him in season long, you're not benching him for anything, especially against, I don't know, who's he going to pick up? Shaquille Griffin? Are you worried about Shaq Griffin?
No.
No. There's nothing in that secondary for Jacksonville that scares me about the wide receivers. Kyler's got 9 total touchdowns through 2 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. He will probably have 15 by the time this game's over.
It won't be that.
You don't think he can hit 6?
The one that I like this week's DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. DeAndre's a guy that I'm trying to shoehorn into DraftKings lineups because he's going to draw C.J. Henderson, and he is going to pick on C.J. Henderson. Mm-hmm. He's so much more physical. A.J. Greene will draw Shaq Griffin, by the way. Okay. Christian Kirk will get Tyson Campbell in the slot. Rondale Moore and Kirk will alternate. I don't dislike Rondale Moore. Another one that I'm not dead in the wool. He's not going to do what he did last week, I don't think.
Right.
The snap count's just still a little low for me. But they are trying to manufacture him touches. So I like Rondale Moore, just not super gun-ho.
Yep. Jacksonville is 27th in the league against the pass.
They're bad. bad.
The L.A. Chargers.
Oh, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
These are the 2 stat lines for the leading receivers for the 2 teams that played Jaguars so far. Brandon Cooks had 5 catches for 132 yards. Cortland Sutton had 9 for 159. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to get in the end zone. And then they're going to have a big old biggin'. And I'll bet you $1 to a dickhole it's DeAndre Hopkins.
All right. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this one of your DFS stat games of the week?
Which one?
Sorry,
I'm trying to answer comments. We don't have a producer anymore.
The Chargers and the Chiefs.
This is a high stat game for me. Yeah.
Justin Herbert with Mike Williams. He's been hot, and I can see him having another big week. The Kansas City Chiefs, on the other hand, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. You should never shy away from using Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I know Tyreek last week, but, that's going to happen. The best receivers of the league are going to have bad weeks every now and then. I'm really curious about Austin Eckler this week.
Love him. Drunk.
The Kansas City Chiefs are giving up 200 yards rushing a game. And I get that's not what Austin Eckler does. He's not the ground and pound guy. He does a mixture of things.
What does Austin Eckler pick on? Teams with bad
linebackers.
What do the Kansas City Chiefs have?
Bad linebackers.
There you go. Austin Eckler is in my top 3 of running backs for DraftKings this week.
Yeah. Caught 9 of 9 targets last week with Justin Herbert. It's finally the one thing that I've been looking forward to this preseason is seeing more targets in the passing game for Austin Eckler. And I think this is going to be a super high-scoring game.
I do too. Let's see. Let me find the name here. Michael Chapp. Hi, Michael.
Welcome, Michael.
He asked, if you had to pick Herbert or Jalen Hurts for the rest of the year, who do you think puts up more points? I'm going to say Jalen Hurts.
Really? Rushing stats?
Running floor. Mm-hmm. Running floor is just so high. The thing about Herbert is that Herbert is going to have a bad game or two, and you got to look at that schedule. That schedule is disgusting. Mm-hmm. Chargers play a difficult schedule at times. And another tiebreaker for me that is playoff schedule, and I can't tell you off the top of my head who they each play. Mm-hmm. But I know Herbert was a guy that I avoided for some reason, and usually that is why. In the playoff weeks, Herbert plays – no, that wasn't it. Giants, Kansas City, Houston. Denver. Denver would be in the Super Bowl week. That's why. If you got to the final, you'd be playing Denver in the final.
Okay.
That's what alarmed me about him.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's been a good 2 weeks for Mike Williams And Keenan Allen, he got the tough draw last week of Trayvon Diggs, and I'm pretty sure this week he's going to be just fine against the Kansas City Chiefs. So that it may come back to the mean on Mike Williams, but I mean, I'm not really scared about the Chiefs secondary either.
I mean, I'm not either. This game's going to be shootouty. You're not going to catch me say I don't like many players.
Yeah.
However, on our screen we're in a different order, so I have to pick and pop where we're going here. Okay, Tyreek Hill has had 5 dud games, to the level of not even some of them better than what he had last week, but he's had 5 less than 10-point games with Pat Mahomes.
Okay.
Here are his stat lines the week after. 8 for 139, 4 for 74, 5 for 99 with a touchdown, 6 for 55 with a touchdown, 5 for 67 with 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill's my number 1 receiver this week with a bullet by a lot. Because who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
Because the way it's lined up right now, it would be Asante Samuel, who's been tremendously good. Also a rookie. He's also a rookie that I don't know can run with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And they're not real notorious for putting safeties over the top. Single high, not.
So, obviously, our individual DFS content will be coming out on the channel either today or tomorrow. But what would be your target stack for this game? Would it be Patrick Mahomes and one of his receivers? Would it be Justin Herbert?
You're talking about for DFS here?
Yeah.
I'm not going up to Mahomes this week. I think there's too many other quarterbacks in kill spots.
Okay.
My stack in this game would probably be Tyreek Hill and Eckler. Mm-hmm. That's my 2 shares of this game.
Okay. New Orleans is at the New England Patriots.
Hold on before we get into this game. David Bingston Errant. I think I said that right.
Welcome, David.
Should I start A.J. Greene or Cortland Sutton? Cortland Sutton by a lot.
Yep.
And now your expectations should be low, but we'll get into why in a minute.
Okay.
I don't look for Denver to kill the Jets. That defense is better than you think. That's the short answer. We'll give you the long answer shortly. New
Orleans is at New England, and so New England's played close with Miami in week 1. They handled the Jets last week. They got after Zach Wilson. Now they got to face the Saints.
This is another poop sandwich game that I want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me the player you feel good about. There's one.
I mean, Alvin Kamara.
There it is. That's the only one.
That's
the only player from this game that I don't know that there's another player in this game that I would start in season-long fantasy. I mean, Damian Harris would be close.
Okay.
But I like some ancillary running backs enough that they will actually rank ahead of him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trusting Jameis Winston after last week. Now going up against Bill Belichick, who is going to be able to confuse him and get after him. And you got J.C. Jackson on Marquez Callaway, who's been a disappointment anyway. So many people had
a good matchup for him anyway.
Yeah, so many people had high hopes for Marquez Callaway.
No, because he's good.
Well,
he hadn't gotten going yet.
Right, and he's not going to this game. I don't think. Alvin Kamara is the one X factor. And aside from that,
I like Kamara a lot.
I don't like anything.
I like Kamara a lot this week.
All right, let's talk about this poop sandwich. The Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants.
I disagree with you.
You think this is going to be a shootout game?
Shootout from hell. It's one of my favorite games of the week.
All right, maybe 2 shit teams, but so there's a lot you like from this game.
Yeah, there's a lot I like in this game. And by a lot, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, I've already talked about.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling that you're going to see Kenny Galladay get right this week. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually going to bring my camera over to me for this. Saquon Barkley!
This is the breakout game.
He's my 2. He's 6,500 on DraftKings. Let me say that one more time. Saquon Barkley is $6,500 on DraftKings.
It's got to be the cheapest he's ever been.
Do you know what his good games look like? Do you know how bad this Atlanta Falcons defense is? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. I have a button for that. Wait.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
Saquon's been a major disappointment, but again, going up against the Atlanta Falcons defense, he should have room to run. I mean, the Giants' secondary's not bad. And so I'm not as high on Calvin Ridley as you are this week. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
James Bradbury really struggles with a good route runner.
Okay.
And Calvin Ridley is one of the best.
Sterling Shepard, he's been incredible the first 2 weeks of the season. He's caught 16 of 19 for 207 yards and a touchdown. Can he continue that? It looks like he and Daniel Jones have some kind of a nice connection. And Daniel Jones hasn't been horrible. As bad as we thought he would be anyway.
Sterling Shepard's been one of the highest targeted receivers in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what would make me a little nervous. How many wide receivers on this team have more than 15 targets through 2 games?
One.
No, yeah, it's him. He's the only one. Darius Slayton's at 13. Kenny Galladay's at 14.
Mm-hmm.
I see a regression to the mean coming. I like Sterling Shepard a lot. I don't like him markedly better than Kenny Galladay. I don't like him markedly better than... And at some point, they're going to get Kadarius Toney involved, I think. Sorry, Brian.
So do you think that on the other side of this, do you think Mike Davis could have a big day?
I don't hate Mike Davis this week. A lot of people are out on him. I think he could be fine. I like Cordero Patterson this week. You will probably struggle to find guys that I'm sitting for this game versus guys that I'm all the way in on. Okay. This will be the game. This will be one of the games that I stack in DraftKings. And I think it's going to be low owned.
Probably so, because people look at it and go, those are bad teams. And I don't know that many people will look at this game and go, yeah, that's going to be a fun shootout-y kind of game. They look at 2 pretty inept offenses and go, this could be gross.
The highest owned Atlanta Falcon is projected to be Kyle Pitts at 7%. Calvin Ridley, good Lord, I have scrolled entirely too many times to have not seen his name yet.
On percent owned?
Uh-huh.
It's because they're afraid of James Bradbury.
They shouldn't be. That can't possibly be right.
What does it say, 1%?
I'm still not there. Matt Ryan's at 1.5%, and I still haven't seen Calvin Ridley. That can't possibly be right.
No, that can't be right. You must have just missed his name somewhere in there. All right, so
searched it by the damn team.
So positives, if you've been looking for Kenny Galladay to get involved, this could be the game. Remember, he had the shouting match on the sideline with Daniel Jones. Well, it wasn't much of a shouting match. A match infers that the other person is shouting back at you. He was pretty damn hot. And it came out that he wasn't hot at Daniel Jones. He was actually pissed off at Jason Garrett. Who's surprised? Who's shocked?
Calvin Ridley's at 5%. That's his projected ownership.
5%.
Which means I'm going to have him a lot.
The Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here's another poop sandwich.
In another 1 o'clock game, the question, how healthy is the Pittsburgh defense? Will it matter? Is Joe Burrow even going to have time to throw routinely in this game?
No.
And I don't think he is either. Pittsburgh has given up 1 touchdown each game so far to wide receivers this year, though. So the question is, who's going to get it? Is it going to be T. Higgins? Is it going to be Jamar Chase? Is it going to be Tyler Boyd?
If Deontay Johnson plays, he's the one I want it to be. That's the only receiver I want. I know you're talking about the other team. But
yeah.
The only receiver I want in this game is Deontay Johnson if he plays. That's it. And here's why. I firmly believe you're going to see a shitload of Najee Harris. And by a shitload, I mean a shitload. People will look at the Bengals and go, oh, but look, they didn't allow much to the Bears. They only allowed 95 yards rushing a game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Just wait. Just wait. I like Najee Harris a lot this week. They'll try to take the load off Ben.
So you're not afraid of anybody in the Bengals secondary? Not afraid of Chidobe Awuzie, or however you say his name?
Chidobe Awuzie. No.
Because he shadowed Justin Jefferson and Allen Robinson in the first 2 weeks. If Deontay Johnson plays, then he's going to get that coverage. And then that leaves Eli Apple on Chase Claypool. And I like that a lot. I will be throwing Chase Claypool in a couple of flex spots this week.
I get it.
Just because Eli Apple is not good. He's one of those that, how are you still in the league kind of guys.
I ask that question a lot.
Indianapolis and Tennessee. Another 1 o'clock game on CBS. Indianapolis, pretty good against the run.
Mm-hmm. I don't like Derrick Henry this week. This will be a crash back to earth week. I don't really love Ryan Tannehill this week.
No.
There's one guy I like.
There's one guy from this game you like?
Mm-hmm.
Is it A.J. Brown?
Mm-mm.
Julio? Mm-hmm. Why?
A.J. Brown's going to get Rocky sin. A.J. Brown's going to have a breakout game. I just don't know if it's going to be this week.
Yeah.
If you told me that Julio Jones somehow wound up on the right side and he was getting Rocky sin and A.J. Brown was getting T.J. Carey, all the way in. I don't think that's how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see Carey on Julio. He's been the worst of their corners by a lot.
Okay. So far this year, running backs have been averaging 5 yards a carry against the Indianapolis front.
They don't mean to.
I'm not off. I'm not getting off of Derrick Henry. Is he going to have 187 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns like he did last week? No. But he could have a pretty damn solid 2-touchdown performance. Maybe he doesn't even break 100 yards in the game. But I like Tennessee in this game. Therefore, I'm going to have to like some of their pieces because, as you say, they're going to get there somehow. And I think Derrick Henry's a fine play this week.
Evan Doyle has a really good point. Trey Wayne should be back this week.
Okay.
And T. Higgins may not play. And you know what that means? It's on date time.
He's got to slip Auden Tate in there somehow. Jeez. Last couple of weeks, though, receivers have been doing pretty well against the Tennessee Titans. Against the Indianapolis Colts. Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, both scored 2 touchdowns apiece.
Both slot guys, just for the record.
Mm-hmm. So who can they?
I'll be honest with you. If I'm Tennessee, I'm putting A.J. Brown on the slot because he's comfortable there anyway. And that's where it could get fun. That's where it could be A.J. Brown goes nanners.
Thank you for finishing off that point for me yet again. The New York Jets and the Denver Broncos. I literally don't want any piece of this game.
I want nothing.
The Jets can't run the ball. Denver's good against the run anyway. Zach Wilson can't throw, apparently. Well, he can throw, but he's thrown more to the other team than he's thrown to his team. There's nothing in this game I like. Because, as Jeremy says, the New York Jets defense is not bad.
Nope. Name the corner for the New York Jets that has a negative grade through 2 weeks.
Oh, I have no idea.
You want to hear me name him again?
Because there's not one.
Yeah, there's not one.
Okay.
This is going to be a week, and I'm telling you, I told you last week I didn't quite expect Zach Wilson to throw 4 picks.
Right.
I told you last week, this defense is better than you think it is. This secondary has played tremendously. I don't like anything Denver Bronco this week.
Nothing Cortland Sutton.
Nothing. Cortland Sutton, if you're stuck, how many receivers am I going to have above Cortland Sutton this week? Probably 25.
Yeah.
I'll have him firmly in wide receiver 3 territory. Okay. I'm out on Tim Patrick. I'm out on KJ Hamler. I like nothing from this game.
Okay.
Noah Fant, maybe. And that's a huge maybe. Solely because I don't know. I have to figure it would be Hamza and Cyrildine that would defend him. And I don't even know that I like that because he can run with him. So I want nothing to do with this game.
Okay. Miami and Las Vegas. Las Vegas has been making their living in the air the first 2 weeks, but now you get Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. Are you worried about the pass against that secondary?
I want nothing to do with this game.
Not a
nothing.
thing.
I want nothing to do with this game.
Not even if Josh Jacobs plays. You don't want any piece of him going up against that Miami defense.
Unruly Drip. Hi. He said he's down CMC. Has a slew of running backs. Doubts he'll be able to get Chuba on waivers. Don't worry about Chuba on waivers. Don't waste your priority on Chuba Hubbard. We are Panthers affiliates. We hear some shit. Chuba's not particularly good, and they don't trust him for shit because he can't pass protect and he can't catch. Roy, I'll be honest with you, if I was picking up a Panthers running back, let's say I found out the CMC thing was an 8-week injury, Royce Freeman's the running back I want. I don't want anything to do with Chuba Hubbard. Chuba will get Sam Darnold killed. And the first time he does that, you will see a shitload of Royce Freeman.
Right.
Because he won't. Not a great receiver, but he's a decent enough blocker.
Yeah. It's kind of the Ronald Jones. Chuba Hubbard's kind of the Ronald Jones.
Chuba Hubbard is the holy God. How did no one ever teach him how to block? You've been playing running back this long, and nobody ever went, hey, maybe you should learn to pick up a blitzer. That'd be fun.
Right. So nothing from the Miami-Las Vegas game. Obviously,
honestly,
Jacoby Brissett's going to be playing. And then,
without tipping
Will
my hand,
Fuller will be back.
Without tipping my hand, I have a spicy hot take on this game.
Yeah.
For when we pick with Asheville Police Chief David Zach this afternoon. Can't tip my hand on NFL games. We do pick every game live here on Sundays. With all your live fantasy plays, inactives, all that. 11 a.m. right here on YouTube Live.
Tampa Bay and the LA Rams. 4:25 start to this one.
Hey, you know what I just said about the Raiders and the Dolphins, that I don't want any part of it?
Yeah.
Whatever the opposite of that is, that's how I feel about this.
Give me all the pieces.
I want everything not named Mike Evans. I don't feel great about Mike Evans because I think he's going to draw Jalen Ramsey.
You shouldn't feel...
And Gronk. I don't want Gronk either.
Yeah. You shouldn't feel great about Mike Evans this week. If they do shadow Jalen Ramsey on him, obviously it's going to matter. Mike Evans is a guy that when he gets top coverage from one of the top corners in the league, he kind of disappears. I mean, when we played this game at the end of the year last year, every Tampa Bay receiver scored at least 13 points in fantasy football. So, if your choices are just shit in season long, behind Mike Evans, he'll be an okay play. He may get into the end zone, may have a couple of catches for 50, 60 yards.
I'll have Mike Evans in the low 20s this week.
Yeah.
Just because I am assuming he's going to get Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, he shadowed 5 different receivers last year. Not one of them broke 50 yards.
Yeah.
Also, not one of them scored a touchdown against his coverage.
You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, number 3. That's the big question this week. Who's going to be the number 3?
If it's not Antonio Brown, I love Scotty Miller.
Well, Antonio Brown apparently tested positive, so he's done.
No. He's vaccinated, so you got 2. He's got to throw 2 tests in a row. And he tested positive on Tuesday. He could absolutely
I thought that was just
still
yesterday
play.
that he tested positive.
It just came out yesterday.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he could still play. That's one you won't know. But in DraftKings and shit like that, I would really like whoever the 3rd receiver is. If Antonio Brown doesn't play, I believe it would be Scotty Miller. And I would like him 18 whole shitloads.
Could be Scotty, but it also could be Tyler Johnson. And he had a couple of pop weeks last year that...
But Scotty Miller always played ahead of him. And I've seen nothing to suggest that he's not going to.
This is true.
I don't disagree. I like Tyler Johnson better as a player. I just, you got to get in Bruce Arians' head and
Tom's.
That's not who calls the personnel, but
okay.
you got to figure out who's going to get the snaps. Who would draw Antonio Brown snaps? Because his snap count is not crazy high. Wouldn't hate Tyler Johnson. The more I'm thinking about it, it might be Tyler Johnson. Just only because I think he would do more with less snaps. But you could see Scotty Miller get in the end zone. So I want every piece of this game, and I want none of the running backs for either team.
No. There will be no running the ball. They've already sent down the memo and said we're not going to do it. This is going to be a passing game. This is going to be back and forth. This is going to be a game where both teams are in the 30s. Whoever has the ball last is probably going to be able to win the game.
I'll make a sweeping declaration that damn near every point that's scored in this game will be throwed. They won't be ran, they'll be throwed.
Rand. I've been saying all week that I think Robert Woods is due for a big game. He could do a lot of damage. The problem is Cooper Kupp's been damn hot. And do you know who's covering him?
And this is a plus matchup.
Yeah.
Like super plus.
He's going to be covered by Ross Cockrell. Carolina Panther fans, you want to talk about you want to tell them what you know about Ross Cockrell?
You keep saying his name wrong. You're saying Ross Cockrell. His name's Ross Cockrell.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it how it's spelled, Mr. Tanyan.
It is. It's spelled the way I said it.
No.
C-O-C-K. Cat.
Cockrell has not been good. In fact, he has surrendered double the fantasy points that either Jamel Dean or Carlton Davis have playing on the outside. So Cooper Kupp in the slot, he could be in for a big game as well. But I still think Robert Woods is going to get his. I mean, everybody's going to get theirs in this game. Seattle and Minnesota is the other 425 game on Sunday. And here's another one. This is going to be fun for all of the receivers involved. You don't agree?
Unfortunately, I think it's another Tyler Lockett week.
Yeah.
I do. I know everybody's getting hot to trot on DK Metcalf, but I just don't know.
Do you know how many fantasy points Minnesota has surrendered this year to wide receivers?
It's a lot.
It's 107 in 2 weeks.
And the funny thing, I still don't like Adam Thielen in this game. Weird how that works. I am drunk on Justin Jefferson this week.
Yeah.
Not hot to trot on Thielen or KJ Osborne. I also think Seattle is going to hold them down and force feed it to them like feeding a dog a pill.
Russ will cook.
Yeah, I think so.
And you think it's going to be a blowout?
Ugly. I think it's going to be ugly.
I really don't know. I really don't think so. I mean,
God, I do.
After what we saw last week against Arizona,
That's kind of my point.
what, you think Seattle's going to turn
Seattle's
it on?
going to go. This gave Pete Carroll the absolute perfect opportunity to go, well, last week we lost to the Titans because we didn't execute and we didn't do all the things. They almost beat Arizona because Arizona overlooked them.
Yeah.
That is a recipe for
Okay.
Pound Town.
All right. Sunday night football this week, Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know that San Francisco is going to be able to keep either of the Aarons down this week.
This is another one of those games that I don't know that I like anything from it. I think this is going to be one of those gross 23 to 17 games where the ball's just divvied around. I mean, the one thing I will tell you, and now San Francisco plays cover 3, so you don't necessarily, it's not a shadow thing. The guy on Devontae Adams' side, do you know who it is?
Who?
It's Josh Norman. And that makes me go, Devontae could be real good. Real good. Jair Alexander probably locks up on, I would say he locks up on Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
But it might be Debo. I don't think it will be. They tend to not put Jair Alexander in the slot. So that would mean that Debo gets who? Kevin King. Which is just all the fantasy happiness.
Okay. I I know you have told me now for 2 weeks to stop putting so much into the Detroit game.
Yes.
But Detroit did complete 16 passes to running backs against the San Francisco 49ers in week 1. And Aaron Jones is coming off a game where he just caught 3 touchdown passes from his quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I think that could be I'm not saying it's a repeatable performance this week, but there could be a lot of hay to be made for Aaron Jones in the passing game. Especially if Devontae can't find ways to get open.
Still no Dre Greenlaw, so I could understand being in on Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm. Monday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys. All the Cowboys.
I'm not
None
sure
of the Eagles?
Jalen Hurts is always a play. I don't mind Miles Sanders. I don't like any of the receivers.
Okay.
For Dallas, Amari's hurt. Shocker. No Gallup. I don't think I care if Darius Slay ends up on CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. I just think he's so much bigger. He's so much more physical that I would like CeeDee Lamb. I could see this being a Dalton Schultz week. I don't think it's going to be fantasy just bonanza. Philadelphia's defense is better than people think.
Yeah.
Their offense is markedly worse than people think.
What do you think about the running backs for Dallas? Zeke?
It will always be Zeke first for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Tony Pollard thing is going to be bootsy, and it will bite you every once in a while, but you cannot, in my opinion, you can't put Tony Pollard ahead of Ezekiel Elliott unless Zeke doesn't play.
Yeah.
Now, if Zeke's not active, fire up all the Tony Pollard.
I would agree.
Season long, I'll play Tony Pollard. He's so risky that I can't get behind it in DFS and things like that.
Mm-hmm. But Ezekiel Elliott, do you think he's going to have a good game?
I don't like either one of them this week, to be really honest with you. I also, and I'll be honest with you, I don't love Jalen Hurts this week. Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback. You know, one way to really screw with a running quarterback, have 2 linebackers like Jalen Smith and Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say, this is another one that I don't know what let's see. What is the numeral on this? Wow.
What is it?
What would you set the over-under of this game at?
50?
It's 51.5. I will go aggressively under. Mm-hmm. I would have set it at 45.
Okay.
I hadn't checked the lines yet because I hadn't had to pick them yet.
Right.
I had this preliminarily stuck at 45.5. If I get more than a touchdown on what I would have set it on, yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of that.
Okay.
I don't think this is a high-scoring game.
I don't either. It's mainly because of the injuries. It's mainly because of no Michael Gallup, no Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb's gonna get his, but I think that turns this into less of a vertical game for Dallas, and it becomes, can we run it down your throat? With Brandon Graham being out now for Philadelphia, I like the chances of them being able to run the ball more against that Philadelphia front. So, I mean,
Philadelphia's been middle of the league against the run. I think Pollard and Zeke will be fine. I think Zeke will out-touch him. Pollard may have – I could see Pollard having 50 yards on 12 touches, and I could see Zeke having 75 yards on 16 touches.
Yeah. Rob Johnson asked, what about stacking Pollard and Zeke?
That's an aggressive strategy. That's something you could do in a game where, you know, Dak's hurt or, you know, if Amari were to not play and they were playing a really bad run defensive team.
Yeah.
You just have to understand that you would be asking for a complete audible in everything that Kellen Moore's ever done as the offensive coordinator, for both of them to be really good at the same time. I know they were both good last week, but I don't like the chances of that. It's not something I would do, put it that way.
Okay. Cowboy Zach Hurst says, let's give Pollard the inside zone handoffs and all the carries Zeke gets. Then give Zeke all of the outside stuff and swing passes and see what happens.
I don't disagree with him. Pollard's just faster.
Yeah.
He's got more pop. That's the reason that it's broken down that way.
Yeah.
Zeke gets the hard yards, Pollard gets the outside shit. So, I mean, yeah, that's always going to look better. It's like LaShawn McCoy and Darren Sproles back in the day.
Yep.
I mean, Darren Sproles was more agile than LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy was very influential to how good Darren Sproles was because you had to have guys in the box. Then Sproles gets on the outside, and now you're one-on-one flat-footed against him.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a schematic thing.
It's going to be a fun weekend in the NFL. Week 3, we will have all of your DFS plays, individual DFS tips coming out here in the Sportsocracy over the next 2 days. Don't forget to get involved in our competition for a cause, our little charity fantasy football thing that we're doing to benefit Eblin Charity's St. Nicholas Project.
I'll be putting that up today with a more streamlined way to submit your entry fee and all those things.
Yep.
The first 2 weeks have been a little bit of a challenge.
We've got the contest running all season long with the winner take half on DraftKings, 50-50 split. The slate winner gets 50%. The other 50% goes to the Eblin Charities St. Nicholas Project. And like Jeremy said, he'll get all of that streamlined and out, I guess, better directions to participate out today. Also, don't forget to go check out betus.com, betus.com. Use the promo code Sportsocracy, and they will give you a 125% deposit match just for using the Sportsocracy promo code. It's been working well for some of you, and we want it to work well for all of you. Last night, Jeremy hit both picks on the Thursday night football game. We will have, of course, all of our picks coming out here not only this afternoon on the ESPN Asheville Show, the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, 3 to 5 weekday afternoons on the iHeartRadio app, but we'll be picking games against the spread with Asheville Police Chief David Zack, and then, of course, on Sunday morning as we do our weekly fantasy rankings, as well as picking each and every game against the spread and the over-unders. Hasn't gone particularly well the first couple of weeks of the season, but it's time. Jeremy says he's done his studying. He's ready to go.
Never said that. Said I'm good at this.
Oh, you said
we've got back to basics.
You said all your prayers.
No, I'm good at this. Trust this. Stop worrying about analytics. Stop worrying about all the bullshit.
Okay.
Trust the flow.
Yep. That 125% deposit match on betus.com, by the way, they will do that up to $2,500. So a chance that for a lot of free money plays there on betus.com. Again, we'll be back with you this afternoon on ESPN Asheville. Sunday morning, live at 11 a.m., 11 to 1. We will do all of the fantasy run-ups, answering all of your start-sit questions, giving you last-minute injury updates, inactives, weekly rankings, picks against the spread. We do it all right here in the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we'll see you next time.